And we are back at the island, ladies, and I'm so excited because we have a guest today. One of
Woo!
Beverly's
Yes.
buds from back in the day. I think they've known each other for at least 30 years. And so, you know what? I'm going to hand it over to Beverly so that she can introduce our very special guest.
Awesome. Thank you. I am so excited. I'll probably be talking fast and everything, but this is our breast cancer thriving survivors episode. And I couldn't have a better person to share her experience or her journey with us. And so I just want you all to know we go way back to hanging out as single women in St. Louis, going,
Ooh.
I'm gonna
I
say it, to the
know.
clubs, going to the parties, just having
Janet,
a
do
real good
tell.
time.
Yeah.
So I'm telling it. But we had a great time, and she's been a good friend over the years. We may not talk every week or every month, but we remain friends. She's a Christian woman, first of all. She's been married, you all, 37 years.
Wow,
I love to tell that story,
awesome.
but that's for another episode. She's the mother of five. She has a blended family. She's retired like me from AT&T Southwestern Bell. She is a travel agent, a mother, a grandmother. But I want to introduce to you all an 8-year thriving survivor, Janet Johnson. Woo-hoo,
Thank
welcome, Janet.
you. Thank you so
Hey.
much. I am so honored to be on here with you, ladies. And thanks for asking me to share my journey.
Thank you for
Awesome.
coming.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for coming. And we're so looking forward to hearing your journey so that it can potentially help. I know it will help several of our listeners. Um, my sister is a survivor also, 12 years. And, I asked her to do this podcast and she just said she just couldn't right now because it's still too hard on her because it was very hard on her and her family during that time. So my question is to you is how did your diagnosis and treatment and recovery affect your family? How did your husband react and your children?
They all reacted a little differently. I have my sons, they just wanted to know the basics. Mom, you good? What do you need? They didn't want to know too many details. My daughters, they were of that, okay, let's fight mentality. What do you need from us? We're here to support you. My husband was very supportive. He went to me with me to every treatment except one, which one of my daughters went to with me. But I didn't realize how afraid he was
Mm-hmm.
until after it was all over.
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
see that in his face. He was scared for me, but we just got in there and took care of business and did what we needed to do. So it was a scary time for the family. I knew that, but my staying upbeat helped them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. So your husband, he was trying to be strong for you. And so therefore you didn't really know what was going on with him until it was actually over.
Right. Yeah.
And I
He
think
told me I was so scared. I was so scared.
And I think
But
sometimes we forget that the spouse and the children are also going through some things when the diagnosis happens. And
yeah.
that portion of it just kind of get pushed to the wayside. But it was very enlightening when my sister said she's just not ready yet to talk about it because it still triggers, the situations that happened during that time with her and her family. But
And
thank you for sharing that.
I
So
totally
after,
understand that too, because
Mhm.
everybody handles it differently.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that's what I told her. I said I respect her decision. So she said maybe next year.
Yes, yes. Well, congratulations to your sister.
Oh, okay. BJ, go ahead. I think you had a question.
Oh, yeah, I do. We've talked about how your family reacted, but when you first received your diagnosis, what went through your mind? What went through your mind first?
I was puzzled. And I say that because I took vitamins, I had a healthy lifestyle, I exercised, I supposedly did all the right things to be healthy, but that didn't matter. So I was like, what on earth is going on? So there was a little disbelief there as well. Uh, and I also honestly was a little indignant with the Lord when I got the word.
Wow.
I had been retired for 3 months.
Wow.
Wow. And then you got that news.
And then I found my own lump, not even doing an exam, just kind of morning stretching and, rubbing. And I felt the lump and I'm like, there's something there. But I always got regular mammograms and it was almost time for one. So I called and told them it's time for my mammogram, but I have found a lump. So they brought me in, we did the test, a diagnostic test, a little further than just the squeeze plate mammogram. And the day I got the call was the first day of spring. Wow. And I was getting ready to walk out of the house, driving to Kansas City, which is where I'm from. I was going on a little road trip to go see my sister and my family there. And right before I walked out the door, the phone rang. And they said, this is BJC Hospital. They said, I said, how are you? And I said, well, you tell me how I am. Tell me. And they said, well, and when they said, well, I just kind of sank and sat on the bed. They said, we know this isn't what you want to hear, but you have invasive ductal carcinoma, and it is triple negative. And I said, well, tell me there's something good about that. And she said, oh, no, it tends to be more aggressive and has higher incidence of recurrence, if not gotten to in time. So, and when I say I got indignant, I was like, really, Lord, 3 months retirement, and this is what I get. And I heard him literally say to me, would you rather be working?
Wow.
Because it wasn't my plan to retire when I retired. And he brought me home. And, people work with this while they're in treatment.
Yes.
And when I heard him say, would you rather be home? It just snapped me back into reality that I said, you wanted me home to go through this. So that indignant attitude went right out the window. He got me together real quick.
All right.
I said, okay, let's fight. But it wasn't what I expected. And I just had to sit in it for a minute, because she started saying, we need to get you in. We need to discuss, your plan of action. And just, it started sounding like, the Charlie Brown womp, womp, womp. Right. And I said, wait a minute, hold it. I said, are you telling me like I need to drop everything and get in there now? And she said, no, no, no. I said, well, I'm getting ready to leave town. And I need to do that. I need this road trip. I need this ride. I need to sit in this for a minute and just by myself deal with what you just told me. So I was almost numb, but I was a little calm at the same time, because sometimes that disbelief will put you into a state of just being calm, just sitting for a minute. And I told somebody, if laying of hands could have healed me, I would have been healed by the time I got to Kansas City, because I think I rode with my one hand on the wheel and one hand on my breast, for that 4-hour ride, and just talking to the Lord and saying, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's something when you get a diagnosis like that and you're about to get on the road and drive. I don't know if I could have drove by myself. I've been so broke down, but that just showed your strength and also your fortitude with just wanting to be in peace with you and God on your drive.
Yes.
So after you got your diagnosis, and I know they gave you several different treatment options, what made you choose the lumpectomy over the mastectomy?
Well, because I had the triple negative, which the way she explained it to me and as I understood it, the 3 things that generally cause the breast cancer, there's a protein called HER2, and then there's estrogen and progesterone. So if it's one of those three things, they can give you something to combat it. They can address it that way. Since I was triple negative, they kind of don't know where it comes from. So the main course of action was to immediately get me into chemo, starting chemo. And then I had people in my ear about, oh, you can do this holistically, and don't put that chemo in your body. And I just said, how am I going to judge whether it's working? I'm going to roll with this. I'm going to trust the Lord. If that's what they're saying I need to do, then that's how we're rolling with it. And once so I didn't really I could have chosen not to do it, but they didn't really say, well, you could do this or you can do that. They said chemo is the way we need to start.
Okay.
And make sure it hasn't gotten into your lymph nodes, but we need to try to start eradicating this right away.
Well, I guess, go ahead.
And the chemo worked so well that it shrank the tumor almost to where it didn't even exist anymore. And so that way I was able to have a lumpectomy, actually just to make sure I had clean margins and to make sure that area was clear and it had not gotten into my lymph nodes. So the question of mastectomy never really came up. Now, some women just choose that as soon as they hear breast cancer. Like, I don't even want a chance of it, but I'm like, okay, if you're saying a lumpectomy is the way to go, then that's what we're going to do.
Well, Janet, that leads me to the next thing. Once you got to that part and you had your treatment, especially chemo, because you hear different things about it, what did you experience in your treatment physically and emotionally from the chemo?
Well, let me say this. Emotionally, I had decided I'm going to fight and that the Lord was going to heal me. So when I reported to my chemo, when I checked in, they'd always look at me like I was crazy because I said, I'm reporting for my healing.
All right.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
And God was gracious in my treatment because I just thought I was going to be sick and thrown all up over the place. I had a little nausea. I don't think I ever threw up, not one time.
What a blessing.
Yeah. And I would be tired a little bit, but nothing that going home and laying down for a while didn't take care of. But during the treatment, they give you Benadryl to kind of cut down the effects of nausea and any adverse reaction you might have to it. And I tell you, that was really one of the worst parts of it because it gave me that restless leg, which is a very uncomfortable feeling if you've ever experienced it. So that was probably the worst part. And once I got over that part of it, I was able to relax and just my treatment usually lasted about 2.5 hours. My husband was there with me. But as far as the emotions, I was in a good headspace. But it did affect, it affected things, the way things tasted to me. It seemed like everything was salty. Like I said, I had the mild nausea, but nothing like I could have had and what I had heard, this could cause. And I did lose all my hair. So this is my second set of locks. Yeah, every stitch of it. But the Lord was even gracious in that. But now I have neuropathy in my fingertips.
Beverly, you have it, correct?
Chemo-induced neuropathy. And it sometimes it's burning, it's tingling, numbness. I used to wear gloves just to put a barrier between my hands and things I would touch. I couldn't stand to put lotion on my own body. It was just a very, the nerves were affected.
So how are they doing now?
Still there. So I've learned to live with it. It's lessened a little bit, but it's probably never going to totally go away.
Okay, wow. So did you ever want to give up?
No. That never crossed my mind. Never crossed my mind. I'm like, I
So,
was in it to fight it, and we're going to get through this. And yeah, it never crossed my mind to give up.
and if somebody did go through this and they're maybe they're going through it right now and they feel
Mhm.
like they want to give up, what would you tell them?
You got to find a why to not give up. You got to find a reason to keep going. And being here for yourself and for your family and for everything that is to come after it. You know, there is life, there can be life, good life after cancer. So, but my mindset was one of strength. So I tell you, if you haven't found the Lord, if you get diagnosed with that, that's a real good time to find him.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm hearing from you, and was going to be my question is, what keeps you going, and where do you draw your strength from? But it sounds like you're saying the Lord and having a family.
Absolutely, the Lord, first and foremost. I knew he got me through that. It sent me into a higher level of faith. And I knew that he was going to bring me through it. And when I said he was even gracious in me going through it, you know, I told you I had locks, but I was used to wearing head wraps and headbands and, you know, in the front. And as my locks began to fall out, they fell out in a receding pattern. It was just the strangest thing, God's grace, like I said. So I was still able to maintain my natural look for quite a while, some months, because I could put that head wrap on, and you know there was nothing going on in the front, but I still had my locks in the back, and I was able to maintain my look. So that's why I said he had graciousness in that.
Wow.
Look at God, look at God. And on that
Yeah.
note, we're going to take a quick break on that note, and we'll be
Okay.
right back.
All right.
And we are back at the island with Janet Johnson, who's sharing her testimony with breast cancer, not just having to be a survivor, but she is actually a thriver. And so we're going to proceed with our conversation with the lovely Janet. Janet, I know that many of our listeners, we have listeners all around the country in all 50 states and then 24 in countries. And so I would like for you to maybe give some advice or encouragement to someone who is currently in the battle.
Okay. And I mentioned this before. If you're in the battle, mindset is everything. And I volunteer at a cancer center, and I get to talk with patients, and I tell them that your mindset is everything. And hopefully you are a person of faith. And if not, it would be a good time to draw on that. But I also allow yourself some grace and the window to be human. There's no playbook for this. And so you just have to work through it. And sometimes you have to sit in it. And there were days where I know there were days I just wanted to fall on the floor and cry. And I allowed myself that. I just didn't stay there. And that's what's important. So you just have to you know, keep people out of your ear. Like I think I said, that might be well intentioned, but you just have to rely on your inner strength that comes from the Lord, and know that you're going to win the battle.
And there, that is important about the mindset, because as the mind goes, the body follows. And also having faith, of course, in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and in our God. Many families have to be caregivers, or are caregivers, don't have to be, but they are caregivers to their loved ones during that time. And I understand it's so difficult to be a caregiver in any type of situation. What advice would you give to the family members or the caregivers?
it's a very hard road to be a caregiver and the support system when someone's going through that, because everybody goes through it together, just on different levels. But I would say just be there for them and let them know you're there for them, and give them some space to figure it out themselves, to find out what they need, from their caregivers, and just kind of work it out together. It has to be a team effort, because it doesn't just affect the person going through it. We're all going through it. So for the caregivers, give yourself some grace too, that you're not always going to be doing the right thing. And sometimes you're going to be feeling helpless. There are just some things that the person going through it is going to go through, and you don't know how to, make them feel better. So that's why open communication is really important, so you can help understand what they're going through. And sometimes we can't even explain it, but there's the physical part, and then there's the emotional part. And they may get a little bitter, or maybe some days a little attitudinal, but don't take it personal. Just keep the
That's
line
important.
open. Yes, absolutely.
Not to. So did you ever have a situation where it was just too much help and you just like, I'm good, please, I'm fine, leave me alone?
I don't really remember that. Saying that, because my husband was good at reading me. And like I said, once I got through with treatment that day, we'd grab a bite to eat, I'd come home and rest. And then it was kind of like normal. And I went for treatments weekly. I did chemo weekly. Every Wednesday I was going. And another thing in that, in my caretaker, my husband, he was off on Wednesday. So when I said God had a lot of grace in this, that was already his day he was off. So we just rolled with it. Not that that's how he wanted to spend his off day, but that's what we did. We've been together 37 years, and we know how to be there for each other. And he was there for me. And if he was a little moody or I was a little moody, we just knew how to deal with that with each other, and then come back together.
So you gave each other a little space.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. Where it was needed.
That is awesome. I'm just really filled up now listening to your journey and your story. It's so inspiring. I know we're not supposed to live in fear, but are you afraid cancer will return to your body somewhere else, or at all?
I won't say afraid,
Right.
but I'd be less than honest if I said it didn't cross my mind.
Right. We're human.
Yeah. So I think about that. And then working with cancer patients, I hear people say, this is my second time, third time. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't ever want to hear those words again.
Right.
And I try not to get into that, but of course I have to say, but what if you did? One thing for sure, you've already been through it. So it's maybe a little less scary place than it was the first time when you didn't know what to expect. But the same God that got me through that, if it should happen again, I've already got a template on how to kind of go through it. So I'm not afraid, but I think about it, but I try not to dwell on it.
That's good. God. So I'd like that. Maybe you touched on this, but what post-op treatment did you have, if any, and how did the treatments affect your life during and after?
Well, the good thing about the triple negative is that once went through the chemo, and then the lumpectomy, and then I had radiation. A lot of women that have the hormone receptive cancer, they're taking pills.
Okay.
Up to 5 years. There was nothing for me to take. So once I finished my treatment cycle, I was done. There was no post-op. I went to my oncologist once a month for the first year. I went to my radiation, both my chemo-oncologist and my radiation oncologist. I went to them for follow-ups.
Okay.
But I didn't have to take anything. So the only post-op treatment I really had is for the neuropathy. I did go and get some treatments on my fingers.
Okay.
Little electric pulses that go through, but I didn't keep them up. That was just this year where I tried it. So maybe they were too far gone. I don't know. I think I had a little relief, but if I was only going to get the relief while I was going through it, that's not something I wanted to keep up. I was going twice a week. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to deal with it. So other than that, I didn't have to do any post-op or take anything after the treatment.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really awesome. So looking back at your experience, how has cancer changed your outlook on life? Like, what's the most significant change you see in yourself, your outlook?
I think I'm more positive. I was always a pretty positive person.
Yes, you
But
were.
but I think I tell people I feel more. I love harder. I laugh more. I don't tolerate any negativity, any negative energy, no person, place, or thing that has negativity surrounding it. I just don't allow it around me. I don't allow myself to go there. I don't engage in it. So that's one way it has really changed my life. It's given me an outlook of expectation, like there's more to come. And I just want to know where my next phase of life is leading me. I'm just so thankful for this time in my life. You know, I was able to see 66. Yeah, yay.
I'm praying for 66 in a few months.
Yes. So, you know, every day is a blessing, and my outlook has been one of positivity. And at peace. I'm just at peace. That's how I know things are right. That's how I know I'm supposed to move. If I have peace about a thing, and I was always a little bit of that way, but it's like God enhanced my sensitivity to things. He gave me a different sense of humor. You know, my husband says now, you are crazy. People just don't know, you know. So it really it made me a supporter and an encourager for people. Like I said, the way people handle it is different. I decided to get in front of my church and tell everybody at once, this is what I'm getting ready to go through. I'm getting ready to fight, and I need your prayers. I didn't want to tell one person one Sunday. Well, I didn't want people tiptoeing around. You know, this is what's getting ready to happen. I need you all to ride this out with me. Mm-hmm. And so many people now will come to me and say, you were such an encouragement as you went through this. You know, we watched you. A funny incident, one of the seniors said, I got you a get well card, but it doesn't seem like you're sick.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I love it.
You better give me my card. But, you know, I've been able to support other people going through, and I've had girlfriends diagnosed since that I was able to support. So it has made me love life more and whatever's coming. And I just feel like I'm a bad.
All right. All right. I don't know if her listeners heard that, but she's a bad bleep, 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 bleep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I figure there's nothing that's going to come up that, you know, God won't take me through. I kick cancer.
It seems like your every response is your attitude of gratitude. But whenever we have a guest, we always say, what is your attitude of gratitude? So I don't know if you've left anything out or if you can think of anything else, but what would you say is your attitude of gratitude?
I would say it's just that I am thankful. One of my favorite scriptures is 1 Thessalonians 5:18. It says, in everything give thanks, for this is God's will concerning you. So I just try to live thankful. I've ordered license plates that say thankful. So my attitude of gratitude is just that. It's gratitude. And I was going to share a few words from a song by Smokey Norfolk.
I love him.
Please do that.
And the song is called Dear God. I'm not going to sing it, but he's saying, I thank you for my life. And that's where I am right now. Says, for my life, Lord, I thank you for every victory in you I've seen, and all the moments I know it was you who kept me. So I thank you for my life. I've watched you take my family from there to here. And when times were a little rough, God, I know you were near. And the moments I thought I'd fail, I was reminded of your nails. So I held on. And if I never live to see another day, there is nothing I would change or take away. I've had so many ups that they far outweigh my downs. Lord, I thank you for my life. That's my attitude.
Awesome.
I'm going to tell you that that is my favorite song by him. My most favorite.
Isn't it wonderful?
Forever, it's been that way. So thank you for sharing those and refreshing my memory
Yes.
of, you know, being grateful and thankful every day.
Yes. It's a wonderful thing.
So Janet, we just want to thank you. This has been awesome. I know that you
Fantastic.
inspired us, and your words, especially your experience and how it's changed your outlook on life, is for anybody, whether you have cancer or not. Just day to day, we ought to try to be more positive. We ought to love harder. That's what I got. Oh, I'm going to love harder. I'm going to laugh more, and I'm not going to accept negativity. So I wrote down everything you said.
Good.
And I just want to thank you for being with us and sharing with us. And we know you'll come back to the island, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. You ladies are wonderful, and I appreciate what you're doing with your podcast and how many people you're reaching. So glad to be a part.
On that note,
I
we're
just
going
want
to take a
quick break, but
yes.
again, Janet, you've been so inspiring for me. I just want to let you know that this has been wonderful. You've made my day.
Thank you, Ms. Vanita.
And can I add, I love the fact that your attitude of gratitude is gratitude. That was so powerful. It's like your attitude of gratitude is being thankful. That's your gratitude. That's your attitude of gratitude. I just love it. And you're being thankful over everything because it's God's will for your life. You know, if He put it there, He's gonna take you through it.
Absolutely.
If He allowed it to happen, He's gonna make sure you get through it, because no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So I am just, that right there just made me say, okay, I need to just be thankful for everything.
Yes,
Because it's all good when God is in your corner.
Best place to be. Safest place in the whole wide world.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you for coming to the island.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome back anytime.
I appreciate that. I'm going to take you up on it.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.